Welcome back to Unlimited Parenting. This is a podcast where we talk about what it's like to be parents of children with disabilities and or special healthcare needs. This is part 4 of our series on the steps to special education. So if you are here listening with us now, we have done steps 1 through 6, and today we will be talking about steps 7 through 8, or 7 and 8. Step 7 is after the IEP meeting, where your child is really getting a bulk of that service delivery that they've been found eligible for. And step 8 is progress reporting. So let's get on into it. Step 7, after the IEP meeting, service delivery. So the IEP, as you know, as we've talked about before in step 4 and 5, or 5 and 6, excuse me, it isn't paperwork. It's a living, breathing document that ideally the special education individual that is working with your child knows intimately.
Yeah. Yes. I agree.
So once the team has written it and you have provided your input as a parent, so once you have helped co-write it, essentially, the school is then responsible for putting that into action, which is why it's so important to have that service delivery grid really mapped out. And you're never going to have an individual named in an IEP, because if they were to get sick or quit, then the IEP could potentially be out of compliance.
Right.
Because that named individual is not providing those services. But it'll say something like behavioral interventionist, speech language pathologist. And so it's really about those people putting the IEP into action.
Yeah. And that's a really good time after the IEP meeting ends and you get your copy of the IEP. That's a really good time to dive into that service grid and then make sure that, those reports home are kind of correlating that, like if your student is, for example, your student gets 20 minutes of speech therapy a week. When you're talking to him, does that align? Do those things kind of mesh? But you're right. It is a living, breathing document. And if stuff isn't working, the team can go back to the drawing board and make sure that it is working.
So exactly. First off, yes to everything you said. But this part is kind of hard, in my personal opinion, for me. And I think it's hard for parents because you're very much hands off during this part. You're putting your faith and your trust in the IEP team to make sure that this is getting implemented.
Yeah.
So in this step, what is a parent's role? So I think, and you'll pop in here if I'm wrong or add anything, that at this point a parent's role is really keeping watch.
Yeah.
Keeping the fidelity. And that's not, again, this is me, I don't think that's negative in any way. You're just ensuring that everything is being followed up. It's more of that's how you're supporting your IEP.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the same as if my student was a gen ed student, I would want to know what they did in school that day.
Yeah.
And it's just, I have a little bit better understanding of what my IEP student should be doing in school that day because his service grid really spells that out for me. Does that make sense?
100%.
I guess I would say that at this point, make sure you get a copy of the IEP. This is that window where schools are finalizing it. You might not leave with the IEP, even though you as a team agreed upon it.
Right.
Sometimes I've received the IEP 2 days later when everything has been finalized in it. So you're saying really do your due diligence and keep an eye and,
yeah.
But make sure you get your IEP too.
I think another part that I'm saying is, don't hover or micromanage or harp every day. But you can and you should ask teachers or therapists that are delivering the services that your child has been found eligible for, how is it being delivered? How are they doing? And that's another thing is, that IEP reporting, it doesn't have to be a minimum concurrent with report cards. It could be monthly.
Yep.
It could be a behavior or any kind of communication log that comes home every day. It can be how you want it.
Yeah. I think you hit a really good point, is not micromanaging, because we know that teachers and educators all are doing a lot anyways. And so I don't ever want to micromanage them. At the same time, I also want to know, what is he working towards and how is that So I think there's that fine line.
I wrote down an example, and it's just something that I had recently helped a parent with. So essentially it was, I saw in the IEP that my son should be getting small group reading supports. Should I ask the teacher what this looks like? Of course you have. You're welcome to say, hey, he's been found eligible for this. Can you just explain to me what that might look like in a real world classroom scenario?
Yeah, because then that is a conversation that you have with your student at the end of the day. Like, tell me about this.
And you're building the partnership with the IEP team.
1,000.
You're being involved. They're being involved. They know they can come to you and that you will consistently show up for them. Well, that's step 7. So step 7 in 7 minutes. That's impressive. Let's go to step 8.
Are we shooting for 8 minutes?
Let's try. Progress reporting. So obviously, like we've harped on before, an IEP, it's meant to track growth. Schools are required to report on progress towards IEP goals, like we said, as minimum concurrent with report cards. And that might look like a note in the grade report or even a separate progress report. I don't know about you. Mine always came together.
They come separate. I really look at our progress report. That's what I look at. My kids.
Because those are his goals.
Those are his goals.
He is not in Calc 2.
Correct. He is not.
So you're not looking for that grade.
No, I'm not looking for, did he get an A in geometry? I'm not. I'm looking, is he making progress on his functional skills? And that's where we're at. But everybody else is a little bit different.
And you should kind of get that information along with the IEP goals. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if his SMART goal was, Marcus would be able to transition independently with a visual schedule 3 out of 5 days, it would say that. And then below it, it would say Marcus has been working really hard. He's not quite reached his goal yet, but he's been doing really well on this aspect of it. Or these are the things that we're trying and working on.
And that he's making progress, but
yes,
it's an explanation of how he's making progress. Because I have had a progress report that just says, making progress. Okay.
How?
Tell me more.
Exactly.
Yeah, right? So explain to me what that progress looks like. And I, as a parent, want to know how you collected that data, too.
Right.
Did you do a classroom observation? Is there some actual coursework that I could look at? Do we have samples? That's important, too. Because and when did you collect all of that? Is it
exactly
a random smattering over the course of the quarter, or was it the last 3 days because you had to do this?
What happens if a student isn't making progress?
And so there are a couple goals where my student isn't making progress, but he's working towards. So we can see that there are some gains. Now, there have been times where we have made no progress, and that's when we've gone back to the drawing board and said, this goal isn't working as it's currently written, and let's tweak it in one way or another. Now, we didn't just throw the goal out completely, but maybe we added some additional parameters or collection guidelines, or maybe just pulled it back one more step, if that makes sense. But if a goal... I've had both scenarios where we are making progress. It's slow but steady, and we're getting there. Or I've also had where we're not going anywhere, and we need to go back to the drawing board and
readdress the goal.
Yep,
or at least our expectations.
Yeah, because I have a great example for this.
Please.
My son had a goal to get on the school bus. I can tell you. Allison, you can tell. You know how this goal went.
So basically, you guys, she got a wheelchair van and everything was fixed. Okay, I'm sorry. Tell the story.
That's actually not. So we tried. We really wanted him to keep, to ride the bus, to access transportation. We went back to the drawing board. We tried different rewards and incentives. And I pick him up now. We as a team decided this wasn't a goal that we were going to stick with. This wasn't a goal that he was making progress on. It wasn't something worth fighting.
Yeah,
at this point.
That's hard.
And it was, because it was something that provides him independence. It's something that I think is important for his future is having safe and accessible transportation for him. But at this point, it wasn't, for whatever reason. And my son's non-speaking, and so it's a lot of a guessing game.
Yeah.
That goal, we went back to the drawing board.
It got changed.
And that's okay, because we weren't making progress. We actually were digging our heels in the sand.
Yeah, if you're regressing because of a goal, it's time to go back and rethink that.
Yeah.
No matter how important it is.
Yeah. So now we have a transition goal we have a goal about the end of the day and picking up, and he gets his backpack. He meets at a certain time at a certain spot. And so we're working through those transitions. And that's ultimately what it was. It was a transition goal, how he does in transitions. It just happened to be an end of day transition, and it didn't work. He didn't make progress, so we started over.
And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I know, we know, he knows that the world is built in such a way that you have to get in a car.
Yes.
He knows that. But it's about making sure that he doesn't regress so that we can get him to school.
Thank you. Yeah, because that's where we were. We were at a point where school was almost becoming the issue.
Yeah, and if school's not fun, then we got a really big problem. We have a totally different problem.
Now we just ride in mom's car.
I was hoping to ask you some questions related to this step in special education that I have received from real parents. Don't worry. It's not personally identifiable. Okay. You won't know it's you, except for it is you. The first one we actually already, just through the organic way our conversation went, we already talked about. So what about this question? It's one thing to see my child's goals written down, but how do I know if they are actually learning what they need?
Right. That is
a really intense question.
I know. Can you what?
I was going to say, I think I would say that you have to build that relationship with your team. You have to trust them.
You do. And I am in a space right now where I'm in a brand new team.
How's that going, by the way?
We're getting there.
We're working through it.
I am listening to all of the advice that I have given parents. I have we are at square one.
That's hard.
Yeah. And so we're rebuilding, and I had such a great team last year with such great trust that I knew that goal, what that looked like being worked on, in what his day looked like with that goal. And I don't have that same relationship now. So you were exactly right. It is a relationship building. So I'm not at a point where I can call up his teacher, or I can text his teacher and I can say, tell me what this looks like today. We're not there yet. I'm working towards it.
Right.
We're building time. Yeah. And we're at a brand new school, a brand new team. So,
and that team, but you're also a parent who can step back for a second and say, I know that this team also has a lot of other new youth to support. Yes. So it's not, they have to learn my child has to learn them. And they also have to learn 4 other new kids.
And at the same time, she's a first-year teacher. So I am trying to give some grace.
Yes.
Yeah. And then,
but that's so good to hear that. I think that it's also just really important to hear that there are other people in the same situation as you.
Yeah.
So because it can be really easy to get myopic and be like, I am the only one in the world who has suffered in the way that I am suffering.
Yeah.
I find myself in that space all the time. Yeah. And then I come in here and I talk to you and I talk to Sarah and I talk to everybody else in this office. And I'm like,
okay.
It is not just me. I am not living a unique experience. And somehow that makes you feel better.
It does. I know it seems weird.
Counterintuitive, but
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm working on building trust. I'm working on that collaboration, and it's baby steps, and I'm giving her some grace to kind of get her feet wet the first couple of weeks of school. And then I'm going to start, asking for a few things here and there. Communication is where I'm going to start with. I always, from a non-speaking student perspective, I need to know what his day looked like from a health and safety point of view too. Did he use the restroom? Did he eat? Did he, so these are some communication issues that I will address with the team, and then we'll go from there. But that's the thing. At any point, a parent can ask these questions of their IEP team. because these are teams and should be collaborative, that you should have those relationships and be able to have conversations.
100%. I think we've actually kind of already talked about this last one, but I'm going to throw it by you anyway.
Okay.
The report, so the report card or however you're getting your progress report, says that my child is not improving. Does that mean that the IEP isn't working or that they don't need an IEP?
Oh, they don't need one, huh?
See, this is where it gets really interesting.
Very much so.
So it's almost the opposite of what we were just talking about. Like I am, or at least that's how I took it.
Yeah.
I'm progressing so much.
Okay. But if you have a goal that you're not making progress towards, well, I don't know. That's a crazy question.
It is a crazy question in a good way. Like
Good way.
I can't improve because the goal is met.
Okay.
In which case, maybe go back to the drawing board and get a different, more harder, more intense, more intricate goal.
So that's the case. We have met our goal. So now we can't. The goal is met.
You can either make a new goal or you can maybe start exploring some other options. I would suggest definitely starting with making a new goal.
Yeah.
Before I ever thought about, is this a potential candidate for a 504 or maybe something in that vein, I would go back to the team and say, spin it for what it is. It's a true positive.
Yes.
This child has met this goal. Now let's make it harder. That's what school is.
Yeah, up the
For
ante.
general education students, for special education students, it's the same way across the board.
Yeah. That's a good question. Sorry, you totally threw me on that.
I know. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So what can you do today? You can keep notes.
Yes.
On what supports are working. You can reach out to the team. You can do check-ins.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a full IEP meeting, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, nowadays we have technology right in our palm of our hands, and whether it's Parent Square or Remind app, or there are so many ways for us to just send a quick note to our child's team and clue them in. So you can be an active participant without completely overwhelming the team.
Absolutely.
I guess. And share, I like to share what's going on at home, like what positives and what successes we're having at home. So what can you do today? Maybe share something like that. Like we had a great therapy session, and these are some keywords that are really working, that we're working towards implement. I don't know, share with your team. I guess be an active participant. What?
When you said share with your team, it reminds me of this Golden Girls quote where Blanche is like, share with me, Chester. Share with me.
Do that with your team. Share with your team.
Thank you so much, everyone out there, for listening in. And know that if you are in Idaho or planning on moving to Idaho and have questions on systems or services for children with disabilities, please consider reaching out to us on our website at IPUL Idaho. That's IPUL Idaho.org, or by calling us at 208-342-5884. Be sure to tune in next time. Until then, this has been Unlimited Parenting.
Thanks for listening.